So important. Anyway, so that's no fault. A no fault, another one is if your parent travels a lot, it's away from the home, but that's how they support the family. And that was one of mine. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember asking my mom all the time, when's daddy coming home? And she was like, well, I don't know where he is. And years later, we find out he was FBI and CIA. We got a letter from the president thanking him for his many years of service. So now we all understood where he was. But as a child, it's like, where's my dad? Is he okay? Was he in an accident? You just don't know. And that's very disconcerting. But that was no fault. That's how we supported the family. Now, a fault abandonment would be if you were never in the child's life, if you're in the child's life up until the couple divorces or breaks up. And third, you could be in that child's life, but rarely, or even if you're in their own home, you're just emotionally checked out. This is like the stories I used to hear from a lot of young boys that used to come to my therapy center. It's like, I hate that I have to do custody with my dad. He just sits and watches football all weekend while I'm in my room on my computer. Why do I have to go? So that emotional disconnect, like I'm not important, this game is more important to you, huge for young kids. And that's a fault.
And I was gonna add to that because I'm glad you touched on that, because that seems, in general, to be one of the traumas that happens probably a lot in single parent households, right? And that, to me, out of the ones you've mentioned so far, that seems like it's tough to break because if all I know is one parent, the chances are that I'm going to be a single parent, and you can touch on it, is going to increase versus someone that has both because they don't have that stability in the household, right? How does someone break that? Because if you're not connected to the person you created as an adult, how would you learn it at that point?
Like everything, Terrain, the important thing is be consciously aware of how you're living your life. You brought this child into the world, put on music, dance with your child, play with your child, do learning games, play games back and forth so they understand how to do that. I barely had TV on when I raised my two girls as a single mom. My girls both graduated with honors, one exempted 11th grade, and Alexi is in Forbes and Inc. magazine as one of the top 11 females changing the world. Female entrepreneur. She went to Africa at age 20. When at age 5, she looked at Save the Children commercial and said, Mom, I want to go save those kids one day. And I said, babe, I know you will. You're smart and you have a big heart. You're going to figure out how to do that. Long story short, at 15, she wanted to be a pop singer. I was a talent agent at the time. I said, well, let's make that happen. She sings on 3 multi-platinum CDs. Her group went around the world on tour. She ends up in Africa. She remembers a childhood dream, comes back and says, Mom, I remember I said that. I'm committed. I said a little prayer up on the tour bus and I said, I'll be back to help you. But how am I going to do it? I'm only 19. I'm not rich. I'm not famous. I said, but you're smart. You have a heart of gold and you're going to figure this out. And she and her best friend got connected with the UN, went to Tanzania, Africa, and now they have 21 working water wells in villages of 3,000 to 6,000 people. So what did she grow up with? It's what I call the mindset for success. This is written about in my Live Beyond Your Dreams book. This is how I raised my girls to believe that they can do anything they dream, whatever they achieve, despite the fact that they had childhood trauma with their father. And they had a lot of it. And despite I was a single mom and I had to work 5 jobs most of my life to give them the house I wanted and the vacations that I wanted them to have, to give them a good life. I wouldn't call ourselves rich, but we had a good life. And we had a fun life. Every day, one day of the week, we did Adventure Day. So the best day in Erie, PA for the weather, we would take that day and go out and tour, go to a park, or it's like, come on, I said, put something nice on and take them to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. You know, just something to keep that bond going all the time. And if you learn to do the mindset with your kids, and I did this with my kids in the schools that I worked with. So I wrote that book while I was in the elementary school, and I wrote it for age 14 and up to understand it. and they all start using the mindset for success, and their grades all went up. I mean, it's amazing if you teach and empower your kids while they're young, how successful they can be when they're older.